Salutare doamnelor și domnilor, sunt Traian Stoianov și vă spun bun găsit la un nou interviu, de data aceasta cu excelența sa Tadas Valionis, ambasadorul Lituaniei la Chișinău. Your Excellency, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. We are very glad to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start. You have been in the Republic of Moldova for almost 3 years as ambassador. How have your initial impressions of Republic of Moldova changed during this time?
Moldova changed a lot, I think, during this time, and I think for the better. I see it in a lot of places, regardless of the challenges that we have, the energy crisis, the war in Ukraine nearby that impacted hugely also Moldova. I think also the biggest probably changes is the start of the EU negotiations. In a way, Moldova seems to be at the spot when, sort of breaking point when the some serious changes is about to happen. So that's sort of feeling of change of history or something like that.
Talking about the change, do you see any change in our country in the economic, social or foreign policy domains, and how would you assess the development of Republic of Moldova?
In economy, I think we see huge challenges. There are things you won't be able to hide. I saw a huge spike of inflation when I came. It was happening, I think, in Lithuania as well. In Moldova, it was huge, but in Lithuania we had also the biggest inflation in 22-23 in European Union due to the energy shock. And Moldova now is reconnecting from one energy system to another. That also implies a lot of costs and shock for businesses and society. On one hand, on the other hand, I have never seen such a period in history that EU and neighbors would be doing so much for Moldova as well. It's challenging time, it's difficult time, but things I think are about to change for the better in the coming years. In a way, it reminds me Lithuania when we were declaring our independence, when the gas was cut off, when the markets in Russia were closed off, and that was the time when we had to rethink ourselves, when we had to reorient ourselves. And after each of such shocks, and we had some, not one, we had one shock in the 90s when we declared independence, then 98, then 2008, also 2006 when Russia closed the Druzhba pipeline. And after each such shock, we were looking more westward and more integrating into the Western economy and becoming more and more prosperous. In the end, now we are quite successful country. We are growing among the fastest in Europe. We are about to reach the average in terms of GDP per capita and salaries in European Union. So I think these changes are for in the long term. These are for the good.
About a year ago, Republic of Moldova officially initiated EU accession negotiations. You previously stated that our country should follow Lithuania's example in the accession process. What has been and continues to be your country's contribution to Moldova's European path?
Well, we are constantly scanning the horizon. If I don't remember exactly that I would be saying that you should follow Lithuania. I think Moldova now has the possibility to look at all the EU. You have so many countries helping you, so you could pick all the best practices in the European Union. Lithuania, at the moment, we have roughly 10 experts constantly working in Moldova in various projects. Some are embedded in Moldovan institutions. Some are working with separate projects. Some are working in EU institutions, EU delegation and UPM. So we are trying to do our best, and we are scanning the horizon, what we can do better than others, where we can help better than other EU countries. At the moment, probably this would be agriculture that we are trying to show our best practices, and we have an expert in the Ministry of Agriculture, Environment. We have very good expert in environment. And these, I think, two are very important because these are the hardest chapters in the EU negotiations. So environment and agriculture, these are the toughest, and they usually closed the last because these are the biggest. We also have people working with the Ministry of Interior, anti-money laundering, police, and so on. So now we are launching projects in defense. We will try to help you reform your military academy, your military training, maybe command and control structure in the army. It depends how it's going to develop. It's just the beginning.
Our authorities previously declared their intention to prepare the country for EU accession by 2030. Being here and observing the ongoing processes, do you think that the accession by 2030 is realistic, or is 5 years too short for a time frame?
Well, I could speak examples. So we started negotiations in 2000, and we finished in 2002. So it took 2 years for us to negotiate the accession to the European Union, and then we waited a few years for the ratifications, and we joined in 2004. So technically, it is possible. So it all depends on the will of people and on the will of your government. And it looks like in the European Union there is also enough political will to work towards the enlargement. So I think now it's a historic opportunity for Moldova to do its best. But also you have to take into account that in the end, the ratification and accession, it becomes political process. So a lot of things could be happening. It could be 29, it could be 31, it could be 34. But if you don't work, it will be never.
Yeah, I totally agree. Your Excellency, how do you think, what are the biggest risks to the security and democracy of Republic of Moldova, as well as to its European path? What recommendations would you give to the authorities and the citizens?
Well, I think for the European path, I think basing on my example in Lithuania, a lot political parties helped a lot. We had a consensus on the EU enlargement. There was a political party, all political parties, left and right and center, liberals, social democrats, conservatives, everybody signed up. And regardless of the change of the government, everybody worked towards the EU integration. If you look at how it was happening, so on our EU way, you had conservatives in power, you have social democrats in power, we had center in power, and but all these parties were working on the EU integration or integration to the West since the moment we declared our independence. Yeah, we knew what we wanted.
In the context of European Day and growing challenges possessed by Russia, how do you think our authorities can combat disinformation and propaganda, and how can we defend ourselves from disinformation and maybe to prevent it?
Well, there are many ways to defend disinformation. The most critical is information, the proper information. You need your people need to have an access to proper information channels. But in our case, it also worked. We banned all Russian propaganda channels, not all Russian-speaking channels, but specifically those working for propaganda. That also had an impact on society and on combating disinformation. And also government has to do a good job. That works better, I think, than any information campaign. So you have to be good at doing what you should do. So that's the best cure.
But what is Lithuania's experience exactly, and how has your country, for example, fought against this phenomenon, and what practices should the Republic of Moldova maybe adopt?
Well, ethical journalism helps a lot.
Yes.
If journalist knows what all the steps he should do before publishing information, not to get hooked up on some provocations. Also, good coordination within governments on how we speak to the public. Critical thinking within the population. Education, of course, we have disinformation classes at school countering disinformation, so it is very important that people think. We also had this challenge of disinformation as we were joining the EU. I personally participated in the campaign. Every week or two we would get out of Vilnius and go to the regions to talk to people. These were very interesting visits also for myself. You would see your country and hear people's problems. Then I was a very young diplomat, and that was really revealing. I think this could also be valuable in Moldova. I think, when you require people to be resistant to disinformation, you should allow them to think critically. And when people think critically, they have doubts about everything. So it is important to work with people so that they would have all the right information, not propaganda. Yeah.
Your Excellency, here in the Republic of Moldova, how do you usually celebrate European Day, and what activities do you engage in? And after several years spent here, can you say that you feel at home?
Yes, I can say that I feel at home, but in our diplomatic life, it's also a worrying sign that it also means that my capital is starting to think where to move me. So yes, in Moldova, after 3 years, I indeed feel at home. My family feels very good, and we feel very welcome. This year we celebrated Europe's Day together with everybody in the main square, regardless of the cold. Next Saturday we go to Koshen again with European colleagues and huge delegation to the smaller celebrations. I'm looking forward to it. Yes, we feel welcome and we celebrate Europe together with you.
And at the end, let's say more personal question, what places and culinary specialities evoke beautiful emotions and directly remind you of Moldova, even when you are in Lithuania?
Even when I am in Lithuania, I think the grapes would be for the staple for me. I remember the moment we arrived at our residence, and it was in August, and my kids, it was late night, but the entrance was covered with grapes already ripe. So, and kids immediately jumped on it. So I will remember this. Of course, wine and like your kitchen. Very much. I use all the opportunities to travel. In Moldova, I very much liked Tsipova. I like Soroka, Sakharna. The whole landscape is very interesting, very beautiful, because it's in Lithuania we have it more flat. In Moldova, you can see a lot more while you are traveling. Yeah, there are good things to remember.
Maybe we should export more grapes in Lithuania.
We do. Actually, if you buy grapes in Lithuania, it is very likely that this will be from Moldova.
Okay, we're very glad to hear that. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for accepting our invitation. And thank you very much for your support. Lithuania, for sure, is an example for us. Thank you. Okay. Doamnelor și domnilor, vă mulțumesc și vouă pentru atenție și ne revedem la următorul interviu. Vă mulțumesc!